Hey, what's going on? Welcome to ExtraPoint, Mississippi. I'm Jay White. Thanks for watching us here on MPB's YouTube channel. Coming up today, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about going on in the world of sports. It is football season through and through right now. And coming up on today's show, we've got plenty to talk about, including the Southwestern Athletic Conference's championship game. That's going to be at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium Saturday. Jackson State is 10-1 on the season. They went 8-0 in the SWAC. And they are playing a Prairie View team that looks a little bit vulnerable. We could talk a little bit about that a little bit later on in the program. But Deion Sanders really has Jackson State rolling right now. Shador, his son, one of the SWAC offensive players of the year, newcomer of the year. He's doing really, really good this season. SWAC championship game on ESPN2. We'll talk about the TV slot and all that later on. As well, the Connerly Trophy has been given out. That is Matt Corral. He is the Connerly winner for 2021. Reading a little bit about this, I was shocked that Corral is the first quarterback to win the Connerly since Dak Prescott. And it's like, Dak, this is his sixth season in the NFL. And so that's a lot of non-quarterbacks that have been winning the Connerly over the last half decade or so. That was a shocking statistic to me, but Corral's got some great statistics, and there were some other really good finalists, including Will Rogers, and that Egg Bowl was kind of a showdown for who might win the Connerly this year, and that's a credit to the season that Will Rogers has had at Mississippi State. Also, of course, starting tomorrow, the MHSAA High School Football State Championship games will be going on. And they will be going on at they will be going on at M.M. Roberts Stadium in Hattiesburg. They were to be played at the Vet in Jackson, but they were moved because Jackson State is hosting the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship game Saturday. There you see the schedule right there. Amory, Jefferson Davis County, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Hollandale Simmons and Bay Springs at 3 o'clock. Madison Central and Brandon, the big main event, the 6A state championship game. That's at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And then Saturday, another triple header. Senatobia versus Columbia in the 4A title game at 11 a.m., LaFleur County and Scott Central in the 2A title game at 3 p.m., West Point and Picayune in the 5A state championship game to wrap it up Saturday night at 7 p.m. at the Rock in Hattiesburg, which is, to be honest with you, that's always been I've thought a cool place to have those games, and it sure is beneficial to Southern Miss's football program. I bet Will Hall will probably he'll have something to do with all that's going on there, and he's got all these athletes at his facility on the campus of Southern Miss. Those games, all 6 of them, will be broadcast live on MPB Think Radio, starting with a 20-minute pregame before each one. So those 11 o'clocks are going to have 10:40 pregames. Those 3 o'clocks will have 2:40 pregames, and the 7 o'clock 6:40 pregames. And Shotts Media is producing the games in Hattiesburg and providing the broadcast for us at MPB. We'll carry all 6 games live. And our first guest today on Extra Point, Mississippi is Jarrod Shotts with Shotts Media. He is basically putting the production together to present these games on MPB Think Radio. And the radio broadcast will be a lot easier to find than the television broadcast, I can tell you that. That is something the MHSAA stumbles through every single year, and they did it again this year. But wherever you are in the state of Mississippi, you click on the MPB station, and you'll have football Friday and Saturday, and that's a good thing. Jarrod, thank you so much for your time. How's it going, man?
Man, Jay, everything's good, man. Great to be with you. And yeah, just got to the hotel. I'm sorry I don't have a more scenic backdrop, but when the games were moved from Jackson to Hattiesburg, we kind of scrambled, and everything's good, man. This has been a great production. We're very excited about it.
Yeah, I noticed when they put the announcement out, the MHSAA, that they were going to move the games. The first thing I did, you were the first guy I thought of, and I texted you immediately. I was like, "Hey, have you seen this? You know, I know you have some guys coming in, or we're going to come into Jackson to do these games from out of town." I was like, "Oh, you're going to have to cancel hotels and try to find more hotels in Hattiesburg," but that's not been too big of an issue, right?
You know, we had just enough time. Anytime you try to get this many people a place to stay for 3 nights, it can get pretty hectic. But we found some great partners that have helped us out, and a great place to stay down here. And I tell you, it can be challenging anytime you you pick the circus up and move it down the road, but it really has gotten easier every year. I think it's something that was missing in the state of Mississippi. You talked about the TV coverage or the challenge in getting that on a statewide broadcast, and that was the whole goal, was wherever you went in the state of Mississippi, you're able to get these games, and we've accomplished that. And the production, the quality has gotten better every year, and we couldn't do it without MPB. You've been great in this, Jay, Jason Klein. Everybody has it's been a team effort. We wanted this to be Mississippi's broadcast, and we think we've achieved that. Even bringing some of our all-star broadcasters back that they were so good here in Mississippi. They were discovered and obviously went off to the major leagues and have been calling games there. And, no secret, I'm talking about Ben Ingram coming off of his World Series calls, about a month or so ago. And these are Mississippi's games. We've really achieved that.
Yeah, that's for folks who don't know, Ben Ingram, as you mentioned, he has been a part of this production for several years now, and in the meantime, he's become the play-by-play voice of the Atlanta Braves, which is U.S. professional sports largest radio network, number one, and then number two, they won the World Series this past year. So a guy from Madison, Mississippi, got to be the play-by-play radio voice of the world champions in baseball.
It's crazy.
It's a very cool thing. This is an interesting slate of games, Jarrod. It's not the usual suspects. There are some of them here, like, West Point and Picayune is kind of a copy and paste 5A title game a lot of times, not every year. But in a lot of these other classifications, there are some newcomers here, or like an Amory, for example, who is a past titan in the sport here in Mississippi that has gotten back for the first time in a long time. An interesting slate of games. What do you think about these 6 games you'll be watching next couple of days?
I'll tell you, if it's a treat, I think we had 3 games that went down to the final possession a year ago. Looking at this slate of games this year, everybody's circling 6A. Madison Central hoisted a trophy, which is really crazy to think about because they've been a model of consistency in high school football in Mississippi. But they've been snake bit in North State, and they finally got over the ball there for many decades. But they came up short in 2012 against South Panola. You could say really blame it on 2 muffed punts that kept the trophy out of their trophy case. Brandon's going for their first. I think that obviously is the one everybody's talking about, and rightfully so. That should be a great game. I think Brandon may have a little more. I think they've got more of an explosive offense. Meanwhile, Madison Central, a punishing offensive line. It's going to be a lot of X's and O's. Madison Central won the first game. Going to be interesting to see if Brandon, with the revenge in the back of their minds, can make this a more competitive game. That one's going to be fun. 1A is the one that I'm very intrigued about, and that's Simmons. They had the record. I think it was 55 or 54 game winning streak a couple years ago. That game went down to the wire. They lost to Nanawaya. They're back, and they are putting video game numbers up defensively, offensively. They have been outstanding. And then you have Bay Springs, who they only have 1 loss to a team that was in 2A in Scott Central, who's made it down here as well. That's going to be a fun game. Bay Springs runs the option. Simmons they're a little more wide open. Both teams like to run the football. That game may go by in about an hour. I mean, it's going to be a really good game. So that's one that's intriguing. 5A, you have West Point and Picayune. We saw that ball game down here a couple of seasons ago. You know what you're getting in West Point. I think that is the most physical team in the state of Mississippi year in and year out. It is a very brutal brand of football, and that they play a lot of iron. A lot of the guys play offense and defense. They held up pretty well 2 years ago for about 3 and a half quarters, and then West Point wore them down. So there's a lot of kids on that team that remember that game, and they're hopefully in their minds that they would like to erase that and create a new memory. But that is going to be awfully challenging against West Point. I think that will be a good game. Really, any of them are very intriguing. Those are the 3 that stand out on the top of my mind.
You mentioned Simmons, and Simmons is they're a treat to behold because and I don't know, the last 25 years or so, there have been a couple of really long winning streaks that I can remember. There have been a couple others, but one is the South Panola one, which is remarkable because they're doing it at the very top of the pyramid. They're a 6A team, and when you're playing the biggest schools with the most money and the most facilities, to be that dominant for that long at that class is remarkable. But it's almost, if not just as incredible, that Simmons at the 1A level could be so dominant because most of these schools have guys going both ways. A guy who's a star on offense is a star on defense, playing another position. You can have one guy get hurt and it can wreck your season, and then, you can have 3 seniors graduate and you're basically having to rebuild both sides of the ball. And for Simmons to just keep being as good as they've been for several years now, and like you said, they're just beating people to sleep in these games. It's an incredible accomplishment what they do.
It really is, and you nailed it. A place like South Panola, there's usually 100 kids or so on the roster, and that you can understand it. A place like Simmons, who is going to have, I believe it, Jay, it's between 30 and 40 kids on the whole roster. It's incredible. And you're going to hear our broadcasters call the last name Rush a lot. There's 3 Rushes on the team. One, of course, outstanding running back. But, yeah, think of that. Let's say, I'm not sure if they're family. I'm guessing they are. But not only if they get injured, but, heck, the family decides to move away.
Right.
It just keeps on rolling. It really is impressive. I know they took an absence last year, but the numbers they have put up this year are astounding. They're averaging I think it's near 60 points a game, and they're giving up, I think it's 4. It is absolutely astounding what they've been able to do at Simmons. And Bay Springs defensively has put up very similar numbers.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Bay Springs in the championship game. That's a cool town, and it's cool to see them get to experience, this level, play in the championship game, and just have the town buzzing like that. For a lot of these the schools that, Jefferson Davis County is practically a brand new school. I know they've been around for a couple of years now, but versus a lot of these other schools, LaFleur County, you don't see here often. Columbia, that's where Walter Payton played. And I know that program has been, kind of a reclamation here, brand new facilities at their school, and the new stadium, big scoreboard, and all this kind of stuff, and they're really paying back into the program right there, and it's already paying dividends. Jarrod, we're looking forward to it tomorrow, starting at 10:40 a.m. pregame for Amory and Jefferson Davis County, the 3A state championship games, and then over the next 2 days you'll have 6 ball games live.
It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. We encourage all of Mississippi to really just tune in and listen. Whether you're a high school fan or not, or even a football fan, tune in guys like Ben Ingram, who are at the top of the profession. And he got his start with high school football. And I'll tell you something funny about this, and I'm going to tease Ingram about this when I see him later. He called me Game 6. He was heading to the World Series, the one they clinched on. And he said, hey, man, my schedule has worked out, because his schedule actually didn't work out for a little while where he may not be here. He called me going to Game 6 of the World Series, where the Braves were about to win their first World Series since 95. He said, do you have room for me on those high school championship broadcasts? And I said, man, it's funny how you're at the top of the ladder. You're still worried about high school football because he loves it. And that's really what makes it special for everybody.
And too, you can tell he loves to do those games, and he gets to kind of unhinge is not the right word, but he gets to cut loose. And football's not stuff he gets to do much anymore, but he loves to do those games. Jarrod, thank you so much for your time, man. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, MPB.
Absolutely. All right, coming up here in just a moment, we're going to talk SWAC championship game. Matt Corral winning the Egg Bowl and the Connerly, and he's going to ride off into the sunset. And God bless Ed Orgeron. He's fantastic. The way he did his last press conference, I just love it. And we're going to talk about the state championship games on television and how that's some clown show Jones like it is every year, and plenty more. That's all coming up here in just a moment. This is Extra Point, Mississippi. Welcome back. This is Extra Point, Mississippi. I'm Jay White. Thanks so much for watching today. A couple of things I want to dig into before we let you go today. The SWAC championship game is coming up on Saturday. We've mentioned that a couple of times. This game's on national cable television. ESPN2 broadcast going to be Saturday at 3 o'clock. It's also the same time the SEC championship game is going on, so I don't know if that's going to be a deal breaker for you. There is a bunch of championship games going on this weekend. This game is listed on a lot of sports books across the country, including the MGM Grand. It's Jackson State as a 7-point favorite right now. The over-under is 43.5. That's pretty much a consensus line on that game, which means the odds makers are seeing something like a 25-18 game for Jackson State. Prairie View, they've lost 3 in a row, and they've kind of sputtered down the stretch, including a season-ending loss to Mississippi Valley State, which sounds bad if you've watched Valley the last couple of seasons, but Valley's got a much better, a much improved team this year, and that was kind of an exclamation point on Valley's season. Congrats to them. But it does show that Prairie View may be limping into the SWAC championship game, and Jackson State is very much not. I see Jackson State winning this one game fairly comfortably. Fairly comfortably. I would say 33-17, something like that. Look for Jackson State to win, and that would put them off to the Celebration Bowl, where they'll play the winner of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. And by the way, a SWAC team was invited and accepted a bid to the FCS playoffs. First time in a long time a SWAC team has gone to the FCS playoffs. It was Florida A&M. They lost in their first round game. They went to Hammond, Louisiana to take on Southeastern Louisiana and was handled pretty well. They're the third best team. I mean, technically, if you take the 2 division champs out, they were the third best team in the league. But SWAC still searching for that elusive first playoff win. I love the idea of Jackson State, the winner of the SWAC every year. The Celebration Bowl has become more feasible. It's a real bowl game with a real payout, and so for a SWAC champion, it makes more sense to play in this bowl game than it does to go to the playoff, where if you win 2 or 3 games, you're traveling your team and everybody in it 2 or 3 times. And playoffs don't have payouts like bowl games because they're not sponsored by corporations. At least the bowl games aren't. The tournament in general is, but that's the NCAA cashing those checks. But it'll be interesting to see if Jackson State continues to dominate and continues to play their way up the rankings. They finished this regular season up inside the top 15. If they'll look at, if Ashley Robinson, their AD, will look at the playoffs somehow or another. The SWAC postseason awards came out. Jackson State was undefeated in the league. They scored 31.5 points per game. No players on the all-SWAC first-team offense. DK, what do you do with that? They did have the newcomer of the year in James Houston. The freshman of the year, Sador Sanders, and Deion Sanders was the coach of the year. I guess so, if they scored 31.5 points a game with no first-team offensive players. So good for him and good for Jackson State. And again, that SWAC championship game, JSU hosting Prairie View at the Vet in downtown Jackson, is Saturday, 3 p.m. ESPN2. How about Matt Corral winning the Egg Bowl? Then he's named the winner of the Connerly Trophy. And some interesting stats from this. Corral's the 10th Ole Miss player to win the Connerly, and the second in a row. Elijah Moore, wide receiver, won it last year. He's the first quarterback, and this stat blew me away. He's the first quarterback since Dak Prescott at Mississippi State won the award in 2015. What? It's been 6 years since a quarterback won the Connerly Trophy in Mississippi, but yeah. Corral is a junior. This is his junior season, 68% completion percentage, 3,300 yards, 20 touchdowns against just 2 interceptions. That is insane, specifically in the SEC. He's also got almost 600 yards on the ground and 11 touchdowns rushing. He's the only player in FBS with more than 3,000 yards passing and 500 yards rushing. So, and Ole Miss went 10-2 this season with that season, regular season capping Egg Bowl win over Mississippi State. It's their first 10-win regular season in their program's history. Now, granted, for the longest time, 10 games was all you played in the regular season, so there's a reason they didn't get there very often. They're likely to play in a New Year's Day, New Year's Six bowl game, so it's going to be a big postseason for Ole Miss. And Corral also mentioned that I think he's going pro after this season. And so it's kind of a last hurrah for him. And you could really tell, I think a lot of times when players go pro, fans are sad, but a lot of fans realize that, Matt Corral had every reason to not follow up on his commitment to Ole Miss. He came into Ole Miss at a transitional period when things were not hot for Ole Miss football. And just looking out for his own future, he had every reason to go to any other place that would pay attention to him, and there were plenty. But he stuck out his commitment to Ole Miss, and he helped them through very much a wilderness in their football program's history. And I think the fans, you saw people all over Twitter and Facebook changing their avatars to number 2, just kind of leaning into, the end of this guy's run. He is up for the Heisman. He's one of a handful of players that MGM has Heisman odds, and he's listed 5th right now, the 5th odds on to win the Heisman. Bryce Young, the Alabama quarterback, is 1st. C.J. Stroud, Ohio State's quarterback, is 2nd. You got a defensive end from Michigan, and Pittsburgh's quarterback Kenny Pickett is 4th, and then Matt Corral is 5th. He's at plus 2,000 to win the Heisman right now, while Bryce Young, Alabama's quarterback, is at minus 200. So he's a very, very strong favorite to win the Heisman. But Matt Corral, a heck of a career and heck of a last week to announce he's going pro, win the Egg Bowl, defend the Egg Bowl, I should say, and then win the Connerly Trophy all at the same time. Big week for Matt Corral. Congratulations to everything that he's worked for, and we'll see what happens with the Heisman. Let's move on. College football, the coaching silly season is here, and I love Ed Orgeron. I'm going to miss this dude, but he gave us a treat on his way out the door.
What's up, guys? How about them Tigers, baby? Y'all not excited? Hey, man, I just can't say enough about a football team. Can't say enough about the 19 seniors.
Orgeron doing his best Jim Neidhart impersonation right there with the laugh and then straight face. That's amazing. This dude, he owns college football, right? Should have never got that job at Ole Miss. Coached there 3 years, got a buyout, was an assistant at Southern Cal. Some other guy messed up. He gets put in as an interim, goes 6-2. That lands him a job at LSU, which, for all intents and purposes, he's been promoted out of his range essentially. But he did what you need to do. He hired the right coordinators. They had one of the best teams in history. They had the best offensive single season in the history of the Southeastern Conference, which is saying a lot. And he won a national championship at LSU. And of all the things you can say about Ed Orgeron, one of the things that you cannot take away from him is that he is a national championship coach at a high level, the highest level. And on top of all of that, he didn't get to 10 wins or losses away from that national championship before he was dismissed. But $17 million to go away. This dude wins. He wins life. He wins the world. He wins a national championship and gets fired and paid to go away to the tune of $17 million. Good for him. Good for Ed Orgeron. And he was kept on kind of as a lame duck coach to finish out the season. And all these press conferences, he's been smiles. Why wouldn't he be? He's a multimillionaire to be fired. For him, he already got his championship. So he's already secured the bag. Joke's on everybody else. God bless you, Ed Orgeron. We're going to miss you being a coach and saying these silly things like he just did at that press conference right there. Some other stuff going on. Brian Kelly has left Notre Dame. He is the new head football coach at LSU. Some folks are super mad about the way he did this. And I think it's always funny. If you or I take a new position at a different company for more money, we're just doing a career move. Brian Kelly does it because he coaches football and he's crossed everybody. And no, he just made a career move. He doesn't owe anything to any of those people. Have you seen the way the transfer portal looks right now, these players move around like who knows what. I mean, transfers, there's no punishment for transferring anymore. So why should we, be holier than thou with these coaches when they just take a move for more money and a better opportunity, allegedly? We'll see. The SEC West is not an easy place to live. And we're adding Oklahoma and Texas. So it's going to be an even more not easy place to live. So, yeah, Brian Kelly, new coach at LSU. Folks are upset because he went radio silent on his assistant coach crew, and he basically broke up with the players in like a 10-minute or 2-minute meeting at 7:00 in the morning. He don't owe those guys anything, just like they don't owe him anything. If they want to transfer and go play somewhere else where there's a better opportunity, that's their call. It's a career move. This is how life works. Billy Napier is the new football coach at Florida. He is replacing Dan Mullen. Mullen, the longtime former Mississippi State coach, let go after a tumultuous season. Billy Napier was the coach at the University of Louisiana, not at Lafayette. It is in Lafayette, but they don't want you to say that. So it's just the University of Louisiana. He had a really good record there in a handful of years, and he's going from the Fun Belt, Southern Miss's new conference, into the SEC. Congratulations to Billy. That's quite a jump. But he is going into the frying pan at Florida. Dan Mullen made the SEC championship game last year. In 4 seasons, he had multiple 10-win seasons, 3 New Year's Day 6 games, an SEC East championship game, or SEC East title. And like I mentioned, they played in the SEC championship game last year. Fired. Interesting stuff. But congratulations to Napier. A couple of things I want to mention before we get out. Man, these coaches going for 2. I was at the 6A South State Championship game between Brandon and Oak Grove. Oh man, these teams. I don't want to be critical of high school football players, but man, these teams, they took turns trying to give the game to one another. Brandon leads 21-14. Oak Grove scores a touchdown to make it 21-20. There's like less than a minute left to go in the game. They're out of timeouts, so it's either kick an extra point and go into overtime, or go for 2 and try to win the game. And the coach went for 2. And I just don't understand why coaches do this. Why do you put the entire season and everything, all the coaches' work, all the players' work, all the games you've played, the practices and the weight sessions and the running and the preseasons and all this, why do you throw all that on one play? Your football coaches, your job is football. They're football players, their job is football. Why would you not want more football plays to prove that you can win the football game instead of making it all end on this play? I just don't get that. And what's the rule? Oh, you're on the road. You got to go for the win. What is it, Lambeau Field? No, it's Brandon High School. No. Kick the extra point, play more football. I don't understand. Is it a coach culture thing? Is it a machismo thing? And I'm not trying to just single out Oak Grove's coach. He's the last in a long line of guys to do this. It happens every single year. It's happened in the state championship games before. I just don't understand it. It's an unnecessary risk for a reward that doesn't necessarily have to be on a play that you're making it that. So I don't. Oak Grove could have won that game. I mean, Brandon did everything they could. And Brandon was ahead 21-7 with about 6 minutes left in the game, and they were content to 6-putt from 18 feet. And they very nearly gave that game away. But Brandon will be in the championship game against Madison Central. That's going to be a 7 p.m. kickoff tomorrow night on MPB Think Radio. And last but not least, not to end it on kind of a sour note, but I guess a negative note, but here's the MHSAA, right? I hope you have MPB lined up on your radio dial, because these games on TV is going to be it's just going to be hard to find these games. The games in Jackson are on MeTV, which is WAPT channel 16.2. In Tupelo, they're on channel 4.2. In Meridian, they're 24.2. In Hattiesburg, they're on 7.3. The announcement, like it is every single year, was put out on Tuesday of the week of the championship games. In Biloxi Gulfport, I've just got WGEM. I don't have a channel listing for that in the official release from the MHSAA. And in Cleveland, Greenwood, Greenville, Clarksdale, which I guess essentially you just say the Delta, maybe, it's on WHCQ, which is Channel 8. For the longest time, these games were on MPB. These games were moved off of MPB because of the MHSAA and their streaming partner, the NFHS's revenue grab, essentially. They made it about money and not about kids or fans, and it's still that way today. So I hope you can find out wherever the Lou is, or Bounce, or whatever WGM is down on the coast, or My Mississippi, WCBI. I hope you could find those, as opposed to wherever you are in the state of Mississippi, just putting it on MPB. If you're in the Delta, you could just put it on MPB. If you live in Meridian, you could just put it on MPB. If you're in Corinth, you could just put it on MPB. If you're on the Gulf Coast, you could just put it on MPB. And I don't say this as an MPB employee. I say it as a high school football fan, because some of these .2s and .3s in some of these markets are on some cable station systems. And that's about the only way you can get them, unless you have an antenna where you can get it over the air. They're not on satellite systems, not all of them, and all markets are on cable systems, and a lot of them are almost impossible to stream unless you have the NFHS network, which usually costs money. So if they were on MPB, no matter where you are, you could find the games just by turning on MPB.1 and wherever that channel is in your market. Or if, let's say, you don't do traditional television, let's say you do. Let's say you have a box top. You have Comcast cable. MPB's there. Let's say you subscribe to YouTube TV. MPB's there. Let's say Sling. MPB's there. You could, wherever MPB is, or wherever there are places to watch television, MPB would be there, and it would be there for the fans. But it's not like that. So, folks on the coast, whatever channel WGEM is, good luck finding that. In Tupelo, I hope you get channel 4.2. I don't know if that comes on cable or not, but hope you get that. In Meridian, I hope you get 24.2, the Bounce. In Hattiesburg, I hope you get 7.3, the Bounce. And in the Delta, I hope you get channel 8, wherever you are in the Delta. Hopefully channel 8 gets to all parts of the Delta with these football games. Hopefully one day, the MHSAA will stop being Clown Show Jones with these TV games and put them back on MPB where they belong. And I guess that's about all I've got to say to that. Hey, thanks to Jarrod Shotts from Shotts Media for joining us today and talking about the MHSAA Radio Championship broadcast. Again, all 6 games will be live on MPB. Imagine that. Cool. Just listen to it on the radio. Those games will be 11, 3, and 7 p.m. kickoffs tomorrow and Saturday. All games will be carried live and in their entirety on MPB Think Radio. My thanks to Barin von Foregger for directing, producing this show. We'll be back with you again soon for more Extra Point Mississippi. Thanks for watching.